I just left therapy and I swassed all over this Muppet chair. I started a new therapist last week. Third therapist since 2018. Not too bad. The first one I had in 2018, I stayed with for far too long because I was afraid to break up with her for fear of confrontation, which is something I'm talking about with my new therapist. And then my second therapist since 2018, I did really like her, but she's in California and I just would Venmo her like $100 instead of using my insurance, and your girl can't do that sustainably. So I've got about 3 more months of insurance, and so I'm gonna get as much therapy as I can until I lose it, unless somebody casts me in a show, which, let me take this moment to say, I am available for hire as an actor. In a play, or anything really. I think I've made like $2,000 this year that could go towards my SAG insurance. I think you need to make like $26,000 a year to qualify for SAG-AFTRA insurance. So if anyone wants to hire me and pay me $24,000, then I can get SAG insurance. Here I am nervously putting on Burt's Bees. Just left therapy. Didn't know that therapy could actually feel like empowering and not draining. So that is cool. I'm thinking about aging a lot lately. It's another thing I'm talking about a lot in therapy in the 2 sessions that I've had. I want to age into like a baddie. Not a baddie like this. Like, I just want to be one of those women that are older and that young women look at and say, I want to be like that when I'm older. I see how it can be done. I see how you can age and like be totally comfortable with yourself and not do any crazy things to your face, which if that's something you're doing, like, that's none of my business. And who knows, fast forward 10 years from now, I might have drains coming out of my face from my facelift. I don't know yet. I'm trying not to, because here's a plan I'm considering hatching. Maybe I'll become Laurie Metcalf. Have I been in a play? Like a play that doesn't involve me singing? Ever in my professional life? No. But maybe I'll get I think I'm pretty good at acting, but maybe I'll get really good at acting and I will be the next Laurie Metcalf. So anyway, that is plan 1. I would love to talk to you all about my hypnagogic hallucinations. These are sleep-induced hallucinations. You can have a hypnopompic hallucination or hypnagogic hallucination. And I might be getting these mixed up. But hypnagogic hallucinations happen as you are waking. Hypnopompic hallucinations happen as you're falling asleep. Like, there's a spirit in some sort of ancient mythology called a psychopomp. And the psychopomp would lead you to death. So that's why I think hypnopompic hallucinations happen as you're falling asleep. But I don't get those. I get the ones that happen as you're waking up. So these kind of started for me majorly in 2018. I would wake up, usually from a nap, but sometimes in the middle of the night, and I would see, like in Mario Kart and Rainbow Road, there's like little neon Marios and Yoshis like hanging in the sky. That's what I see. Like one time I was taking a nap at my friend's house and I woke up and I saw a tiger. One time I woke up, I saw a horse running. But here's the wildest one, okay? I woke up in the middle of the night once and I saw, with my own very eyes, projected on the wall in front of me, a typewriter and Adolf Hitler. And he was orating. He was yelling. And I went like this, and they wouldn't go away. Got up, I went to the bathroom, turned on the light. They were still there. It's kind of like when you get a picture taken and the flash like leaves, whatever you would call it, a retinal burn. It's like it's like almost like I'm having a dream that leaves a retinal burn, but I don't remember having a dream about a typewriter and Hitler. A lot of the times when I wake up, what I see is not what I was just dreaming about. Sometimes it'll be a whole, like, animated, like, imagine a page out of Oh, the Places You'll Go by Dr. Seuss, animated, and I'm just seeing that before my very eyes, which honestly, pretty cool. Pretty wild. But okay, so I have these hallucinations. I want to get back to the typewriter and Hitler. So after I had this hallucination, very specifically these two images almost overlaid on top of each other, I was like, why? Why these two things? The only logical explanation, I was a journalist during World War II in a past life. I was a writer or a journalist. Well, journalists are writers, but you know what I mean. I worked at a typewriter covering the news or writing about something during World War II. That's the only logical explanation. And then you're like, well, Tiffany, you also hallucinated a tiger. So did you work for the circus? Probably. Okay, let's pull this thread. I definitely have always had an affinity for World War II era history, style. Just it feels nostalgic to me, as if I lived through it. The music, everything about it feels very familiar to me. I understand there is also something, I think, growing up in America, that we have romanticized World War II and like the 1950s, for sure, in a way that, especially I think maybe as a millennial, like being a kid growing up in the 80s and 90s, especially in the 80s, there was like a 50s nostalgia boom. We had Happy Days. I feel like there was a lot of like diners popping up that were reminiscent of 1950s diners. So maybe it's another thing that like the nostalgia of that while I was a child then fed its way into the creation of my own nostalgia. So there's that. That could just be what it is. But I want to be a little more woo about it and say that I was alive in World War II in a past life. I think I was probably born in like 1918. I was born of the Spanish flu. Against all odds, I came into this world during the Spanish flu. But anyway, I always have loved the 40s and 50s. I just know how to dance like that. I know how to sing like that. I know how to speak like that. Like it's always just come very natural to me. And Molly was my favorite American Girl doll. She was the one I wanted. She was the one I chose. Which brings me to my next item. I think that the success of American Girl dolls is because of past lives. I'm not a past life scholar, but from what I know about it is that you're born and you're like, when you're a little kid, you're still got one foot in your past life. That's why kids say crazy stuff. And that's why kids are like, you look like my old mom, and stuff like that. And then, as you are conditioned to be a human in society and abandon basically all whimsy and purity and imagination, by the time you're like 6 or 7, you've forgotten your past life. And that's why I think American Girl dolls, especially when they first came out, we're talking Pleasant Company era American Girl dolls, why they were so successful. Because I think that little girls or boys, little people, were like, wait, I love this. This reminds me of something, and I don't know what. You had just like crossed over into full this timeline awareness when you're like 6 or 7. And then you get into the American Girl doll because it's like, wait, no, I know this. This was me. And that's my take. I think American Girl dolls are successful because they are hearkening back to people's past lives at an early age when you've just crossed over into this current life fully. And for me, it was Molly. I had that little radio. Like the, wait, what's the Christmas? I can't remember what the Christmas American Girl doll book is called. All of a sudden, my brain, Meet Molly, Changes for Molly, A Very Special Molly. Whatever the Christmas one was, I had that, her little green velvet outfit, which is, I still think the cutest. Like, I liked all of her simple stuff. Everyone was like, Molly was boring. No, she wasn't. I looked exactly like her. I still look like her. Let's be real. I am a cross between Molly and Samantha. We don't have to get into it. But her little green velvet dress, and she came with a little radio that you would push, and her dad would be like, hello, Molly, from overseas. He was like, I'm over in England, and I'm just wishing you a Merry Christmas. And God bless us, everyone, or whatever. I need to look up. I don't think I still have it. Actually, I think I do, but it's at my mom's house. I need to get my stuff. I need to go back and get all my American Girl doll stuff so I can put it on display in my room. I have no shame. Anyway, Molly had the best stuff. Sorry. I know you're all going to say Samantha had the best stuff, and she had some beautiful stuff. But I really liked Molly's pajamas. I really liked her humble little red and white striped bedroom set. I did have Samantha's bedroom set, though. Wait, did I? I did. Look at that. I'm such a hypocrite. Okay. Oh, I'm going to take this moment to talk about my health journey. I'm on a health journey. Thanks. I'm generally a healthy person. I've been, not that this precludes you from not being healthy, but I've been a vegetarian for almost 20 years. And I know that you can be extraordinarily unhealthy and still be a vegetarian. But I will say being a vegetarian has caused me to think more. It was the first step into me thinking more about food than just like, oh, I'm going to go to Subway and get the same sandwich like I did in high school. So I have always sort of been a pretty healthful eater. But, I'm getting older and my body has been hurting all the time. I also have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, apparently, which is just basically like my cartilage is kind of floppy in my body, and I can I don't really need to hold on to this. And I can do this. I can touch my thumb to my forearm. I have hyperextended elbows, as you can see. Get a load of that. When I was diagnosed with this in January, I was like, oh, wait, this makes sense that why my body hurts all the time. It's like standing is very painful for me. Walking is fine, but standing, I can't do it. Anyway, all summer, I have felt like poo-poo. I have felt like poo-poo. And I went to the ENT a couple of weeks ago, and he was like, anyone ever tell you have post-nasal drip? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, what do you think about that? I was like, I don't know, I guess one time I was given Flonase and I didn't really take it. So he gave me some Flonase, and he gave me acid reflux meds, which I was on 10 years ago, and then I went off of it because I actually don't remember why. Probably because I lost my insurance. I don't want to get into it. Anyway, I'm back on my omeprazole, and I've been taking Flonase, and he did, but I just, ladies and gentlemen, I just finished a week of prednisone, and I just have to say, those three things combined with, I have basically cut out all processed foods, cut way down on dairy and sugar, and also I started running. I have never liked running, but I love walking. And usually the first thing I do every day that I wake up is I go for like a 45-minute to an hour walk. And a couple weeks ago, I was walking and I just like looked around. I was like, what if I just started running? And I was just like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And then I was running and I was like, okay, that wasn't too bad. Was I sore for a week? Yeah. But then I tried again after having kind of adjusted my diet, and I started doing yoga again. Just a little bit, just 20 minutes. Yoga with Adrienne, shout out. We all know and love her. And all of a sudden, like, my pains went away. Like, my aches and pains went away. But also, it was very shortly after that I did start a week of prednisone, so it might just be because I was on steroids that I don't hurt anymore. But I also was in the car for 14 hours yesterday because I went to Chicago, and I woke up this morning feeling absolutely awful. But that's to be expected. But you know what I did? I had some oatmeal. I had some coffee. I did yoga. My back doesn't hurt anymore. Like, my back hurt really badly this morning. And I just, like, stretched it a little bit. And it went away. But I actually only think that it went away this quickly because I am also not eating processed foods. Does that make any sense? I'm not a doctor. Actually, don't listen to me at all. When I was a young girl, I loved to make videos with my family, my step-siblings and my brother and my friends. And I also loved to make radio shows. I would either use this very Talkboy tape recorder, and just hit record and sound off. Or my dad had a little karaoke machine. I would throw a little 80-minute cassette tape in there and be like, hey guys, this is Tiffany. I don't know what to say. I was always stuffy. I may have just been stuffy for 15 years. I think maybe I've been stuffy for 15 years, and I've been also having acid reflux for 15 years, and it's caused me to not be able to sing. I think maybe if I had been on Flonase and acid reflux meds for the past 15 years, I would be a Broadway star right now. And I'm not because I've been stuffy and inflamed. Like I said, for hire. For hire. Okay, that was breathy, but also, I gotta tell you, like, that's not a note that I can normally hit. I'll get there. It's like I just got the cast off. I just got the cast off my arm, and I'm relearning how to use my voice. I'll know when my love comes along. Anyway, radio shows. I was making podcasts before anyone. And I know a lot of you millennials out there probably could say the same. But there's this one day, my dad, in the basement, not only set up a whole table with multiple microphones set up to the tape recorder, full stereo, he also set up the camera. I was Don Imus. I was Howard Stern. 9 years old. I was a DJ. Not only did we film this, but recorded it. Did a radio show with my step-siblings, and I played oldies because I was very obsessed with oldies. Past life, okay? When I was 9 years old, I only listened to Oldies 104.3. Just walk away, Renee. Nothing but a human, darling. And here's something that I've been thinking about. That little child was not afraid to improv. She was not afraid to press play and go. What am I afraid to do now? Press play and go. That's why I'm here with you today. Don't call it a podcast. Don't call it a podcast. This is a radio show. This is not a podcast. It's a radio show. Do you remember in Best in Show? Don't call it a doll. It's an action figure. Anyway, I'm recording myself. I literally finished therapy. I got up, I changed my pants, and I sat back down and I pressed record. And my intent is to do this every time I finish therapy, to either process what I just talked about in therapy or ignore it completely and talk about hypnagogic hallucinations or talk about who I was as a child, which is a deeply fascinating topic to me and maybe only to me. But it's something that I just can't quite let go of, is how interesting I feel like I actually was as a child, or perhaps the version that I was in front of the camera as a child. Which brings me to, I had an alter ego who I named Veda de Plume. And yes, I chose the name Veda from My Girl. I loved the name Veda. There was a girl who went to my high school and she got pregnant like senior year. You know what she named her kid? Veda. And back when I was in high school and I thought I was going to have children, which I'm 99.9% sure I will not, I was like, I'm going to have a girl and I'm going to name her Veda. And then the girl from my high school named her kid Veda. I've been waiting for the right moment to do that. I have a keyboard right here. And what I have loaded up is a Arturia emulator of the Fairlight synth from the 80s. It was a very popular synth used by like Peter Gabriel and Kate Bush. And I'm writing a musical that the music is 80s. It's 80s music. And so I bought this emulator. I'm obsessed with it, to be honest. Where was I? Veda de Plume. Veda de Plume was my alter ego. When my parents divorced, my mom moved me and my brother into a condo. And then she had a boyfriend at the time named Keith, who was a truck driver. And he had a camcorder that he would bring and set up, and my brother and I would just play around. And there's a very specific video that I actually turned into the very first track on my album Sophomore Effort called Beautiful. There are sound bites from this very particular home video that I'm about to reference. I'm walking through the condo being like,
I'm beautiful, you're not. Go! I say go!
There's no way I thought that about myself at 9-10 years old. I actually was deeply insecure about my looks around that age. My teeth had come in crooked. I had gotten a perm. When we moved to a new school, I kind of sort of became part of the popular group, as much as you could have a popular group in 4th and 5th grade. And my best friend at the time, she was like so pretty and I was so jealous of her, and she was blonde and I just felt really awkward. So the fact that I was walking around the house being like, I'm gorgeous, look at me. I think it was a cry for help, really. Not so much a cry for help, but maybe as, I don't know, was I trying to just act out a version of myself that I wanted to be? Something to talk to my therapist about. But anyway, around 7th grade, this woman had a name, and I named her Veda de Plume. And I remember doing some sort of presentation in my drama class in which I played Veda de Plume, and I think I had a feather boa, and I was just this kind of very Meryl Streep Devil Wears Prada meets, I don't know, any diva you can think about. Norma Desmond, maybe. But anyway, I was thinking about Veda de Plume. Now I'm off the rails, guys. Oh, how I used to be able to improv. I really didn't care about what people thought about me. I just wanted to play and get attention. As a preteen and sort of into my early teenage years, I had no problem acting a fool. I wanted to be on SNL. I did a lot of like SNL parodies as home videos, and I was just so free. And in my old age, I have become so locked up and so perfectionistic. And it's really actually starting to affect my life in negative ways. I performed at Navy Pier this weekend at something called Chicago Live. And let me tell you, my throat closed up. I walked off stage after my 20-minute set and I sounded like this. And I wasn't even belting. I was singing as lightly as I could, but I was so nervous that I walked off and I was like, oh my God. And I started crying. And then I went back on stage a few minutes later and sang with a band, and I sang Piece of My Heart by Janis Joplin, and it was fine. I think that I have a problem just being myself, singing my own music on stage, being alone on stage. It honestly, my friends, Jesse and Eric, they helped sort of parse this out for me. Being on stage, singing your own music, especially if you're not playing an instrument. I was basically doing karaoke on a lawn at Navy Pier for 7 people because it was raining. It's like doing stand-up, which is something I've always been curious about, but I was like, I will never do stand-up. So this is as close as I'm going to come to doing stand-up, is finishing therapy and then pressing play and then talking about nonsense for a little while. And really, this is an exercise in failing miserably in front of people, because that's something that I cannot do. This is why I can't have jobs. I am so bad at waiting tables. I'm so bad. I just don't like people to watch me work. That's what it is. That's what it is. I don't want people to see me in process, because that's embarrassing, because that implies that I am not just automatically a genius at everything. So that's why I'm doing this. This is a little bit of exposure therapy. This is a little bit of practice for me to also, something I wrote down, organize my mind. What's the Dumbledore quote? An organized mind. I'm actually going to look this up. Trigger warning, Harry Potter. Dumbledore. Organized mind. To the well-organized mind, death is but the next great adventure. Well, damn. I'm really afraid of death. So perhaps if I organize my mind, I can accept death's sweet embrace. Like taking off an old shoe. Is that Ram Dass who said death is just like taking off a too tight shoe? Ram Dass or Ram Dass? Ram Dass. Ram Dass. Ram Dass. Do I think I have ADHD? Not really. I actually don't think I do. I just think I am a product of a world that lives on the internet and on social media. And another reason I'm doing this, so I actually adore YouTube. I love to watch long form essays and radio shows, we'll call them. Perhaps that's another reason I'm doing this, is because I'm like, I don't want to be on TikTok. Toxic. Let's be real. Every time I try and do stuff on TikTok, I become so depressed and anxious, and it's just not worth it. And so I'm like, but you know what feels cozy to me? YouTube. YouTube feels like cozy to me. Now, I probably won't feel this way if I do keep up with this. Kind of like the way I used to love Whole Foods. And then I worked for Instacart, and then I was a brand ambassador. So for like 2 years, I spent so much time working in Whole Foods, either delivering or shopping for groceries, or like passing out samples of cottage cheese for some company. Now I cannot go in Whole Foods. I do if I have to, but the smell of it just like makes me sick. So YouTube, I don't want YouTube to turn into that for me. And if it starts to, I'll probably stop. But I do love Trader Joe's. YouTube feels like Trader Joe's. YouTube is Trader Joe's. I know some of you are probably like, Trader Joe's is a nightmare. And yes, it can be. But it is like walking into a little hug. Sometimes. I love all those little drawings. It's just so comforting for me. I also have had panic attacks ushered in by a trip to Trader Joe's. Don't get me wrong. Like when it's crowded, it's not fun. You know what this is also going to help me do? Get used to using my voice. I'm getting tired. I'm already getting tired. That's because I'm really tight in my throat. So I might need to start talking a little bit like this, which will probably be annoying to you. I can't do that. I'm from the Midwest. I used to have the thickest Chicago accent as a kid.
I am not a teeny bopper.
And it's since been eradicated by probably theater school. But it's been eradicated so much that I can't even really imitate it anymore. It's when I was home this past week in Chicago, I was in the Chicago Botanic Garden walking behind these 3 middle-aged women with these Chicago accents, and they talk like I can't even do it. It's my native tongue. And when I try and do it, I'm like, that's not right. There's something about that's just not right. I think it's really hard to do a good Chicago accent and make it sound real and not cartoonish. So I'm a little sad that I can't do it anymore. I can do the cartoon version, and sometimes I am talking and it'll like slip out. But there's a certain version of a white lady from the Chicago suburbs.
It's this certain kind of bright and wide, and also has the fry and the nasality, like that I can't quite replicate
Anymore. God, do I have to work on my own accent? Oh my God. Okay. So I'm trying to organize my mind. And I'm trying to get used to being real and talking because I'm afraid of talking. Usually I say I hate talking, but I think what I really mean is I'm afraid of talking. And I think that is the case for a lot of things in life, that we say I hate this. When we say I hate this, we really mean I'm afraid of this. Duh, that's America. That is the cause of most of our social problems. Oh, there's hate all around. But really it's just fear. We know this. That's nothing new. So I'm trying to practice being bad and being wrong and being imperfect in front of people and having you all watch me in process. Because fear of failure, which is something I have, is the biggest roadblock to success. And I want to be successful. And I think, confession, I think I can be a little more successful than I am right now. And so perhaps.
And in conclusion, I hope that this project will help me realize my true self and help me push beyond the boundaries that I've set for myself, unconsciously or consciously. Thank you very much.
I just started sucking on my pen.